Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Firstly, I'm using my masking tape to protect my middle spine there from any potential leakages. I'll also protect both my back pages with some rough papers. Here I have some magazine pages that I might have cut a couple of texts out before. I'm just interested in the texty part of the pages. So I'll tear out those blank margins to prepare them as my background. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm only just tearing out all those straight edges. Adjusting the size a bit to fit my spread. Using my PVA glue, I'll spread it onto one side of the spread first. Then the other. Next, with my gesso, I'll give a white watery wash to the spread. In a way, I'm also securing down those magazine paper, as there's glue in gesso too. Speed drying with my heat gun. Now I'll be using the yellow and blues from my watercolor set. I'll use this 1-inch soft flat brush. Upon wetting it, I'll pick up some pigments, starting with the bright yellow first. As I began to add the blue, naturally, with my used brush, I get a greenish color. It's been a long while since I used watercolor as my major background for my mixed media journaling. Watercolor backgrounds was how I started my first mixed media journal when I had not much supplies. Now, mostly, I like to work with acrylic paints for my backgrounds. So I hope this will serve as some motivation to those of you who are trying to get into mixed media journaling with not much supplies. I'll add more colors to give a more saturated layer as the initial layer was too pale. Blotting off more pulling colors as I dry off the spread. Here's a diamond pattern stencil I'd cut myself with a Cricut machine. We'll be using my blue acrylic paint by Daiso with it, also this yellow paint. Mixing the color, I'll use my old dabber from Daiso to apply it onto the stencil. Next is this other stencil I'd cut of a mini sun rays pattern, if you can catch the light there. Be using this yellow paint again. I'll try using this piece of packaging sponge to dab the paint onto the stencil. I'll be using that remaining paint for some splatters. An old magazine from April 2018. I know there's a cool local art piece here of various Singapore landmarks. Been eyeing it for this art journal a long while. So, I'm gonna cut this all up into equal sizes using my paper trimmer. Here I was being unsure. At first, I trimmed the art into equal 5 cm strips with a height of 6 cm. Upon analyzing the results, I realized the pictures would be too large for my spread. So I decided to trim them all 1 cm smaller, therefore 4 cm by 5 cm. Now I have here some recycled printer paper that has a lot of unused white space. Gonna use those space, trimming that out 1 cm bigger than the picture's width. And 2 cm longer in height. Okay, for Polaroid, I'll be using this black ink pad by Tsukinico to etch out all those cut out pictures. Once done, I'll also do the same to those white papers, giving the Polaroids some depth. Time to assemble the Polaroids. I'll be using a regular glue stick. Wiping it out a bit with some tissue to flatten it out. I'll do that to the remaining pictures. So that's all of them done. Here I'm testing out the placement. Definitely will not be using all of them. To tell you the truth, I'm really horrible with arrangements, like flowers and all. So I was honestly still unsatisfied with the placement, but just went on with it. Now I'll be using this foam strip stamp from this set. We'll be using my black ink pad again. I'll stamp 2 strips on 2 sides of the spread. Testing the placement again. Seriously, I really had trouble making up my mind. Now with my matte medium, I'll carefully apply some onto the back of those Polaroids while still in place. Then proceed with the entirety of them. For that one Polaroid that's pasted on the middle spine, I'll ensure that it gets properly flattened by flattening it from the back page. Here I have a newspaper cutting of a DSLR camera. Gonna stick it there with the leftover matte medium. I'll make sure the flash is in place with those stenciled yellow rays behind. Using a black gel pen, I'll try to give each of the Polaroid some strings, sketchy strings. Now I'll be using these glitter pens from the brand Bostik to act as the hooks on those attached strings. Be using the gold color, just simply a dot for each hook. Next, I'll be using the black from my watercolor set to make some splatters. Better cover those Polaroids first. From that same earlier magazine, I found this article's heading. Gonna just use it for the spread's title. Using my matte medium again, I'll stick each of those words down. Taking out my black ink pad once more, I'll etch the bottom of my spread here. Now with my charcoal pencil, I'll try to give each of those words some shadowy outlines. Taking out those back rough papers, I will also then need to cut off that protruding middle spine masking tape. A bit of tear there. Fixing that bit of tear first. I'm still unsatisfied with the look of the title, so with my black gel pen again, I'll give the words a thick outline to make it pop out more. And I think that's about it. I had contemplated scribbling something on each of those Polaroids, but thought it would overdo the spread. Well, thank you guys for watching. Happy journaling and bye.